I always like to say that the spiritual entrepreneurial journey or the entrepreneurial journey in and of itself is a spiritual journey because it brings things up to the surface for us to look at, process, heal, and shift. All of the old insecurities or unhealed wounds come up as we start to say yes to our dreams, to our desires, to our goals. All of these things come up as we start to put ourselves out there and pour our love into our work, and it's a journey for us to fully come into who we truly are outside of the programming, the conditioning, and what has happened to you in the past. And one of the main core things that I've seen come up for people on the entrepreneurial journey and in relationships is the fear of rejection or feeling rejected. So, in this video, I want to focus on how to heal the fear of rejection or just rejection in general so that you could fully anchor into your power, so that you can make the greatest impact in the world, and so that you can show up fully authentic as your true self in relationships and in business. So, I want to start off by sharing some of my story and how this has played out for me, and some powerful insights, learnings, and wisdom that I have gained from the rejection wound, and how I personally have worked on healing this so that you can see yourself and what I share and start to take some of this and implement it on your own journey. So I've had a lot of different experiences in the relationship department and in the business department that brought up things within me, old insecurities around not feeling good enough, feeling like I didn't know enough, being afraid people wouldn't like me, imposter syndrome, feeling like something's wrong with me, whatever, all of the programming that's not actually who I am. And in relationships, this played out in a multitude of ways, and it showed up as me people pleasing or putting my needs last or trying to make the other person happy and ignoring my own self. This played out in business by feeling like an imposter or not fully owning my gifts or showing up fully authentic in my power. It showed up as me tiptoeing around what I really wanted to say or tiptoeing around things when it came to sharing my offers and how I can support other people. This fear of rejection came up, and it's this underlying feeling of wanting to be liked and accepted, or feeling like you need to prove yourself in some regards for validation, and all of that is distortions. And so what I've learned on my journey, and this took a lot of self-reflection, is that we're not actually afraid that other people will reject us, and we don't actually feel rejected by them or outside things. We think that's the case because of whatever story or program is going on. But what's really happening when we feel rejected or we fear rejection is that we are the ones actually rejecting ourselves. And we do this by people pleasing, putting our needs last, dimming our light and dimming down our expression to appease other people, right? And so in doing those things, we are actually rejecting ourself. And when we reject our own self, we end up losing trust in ourselves. We end up not trusting ourselves or our intuition. The second guessing comes up and all of that stuff. And I want you to know that there is a way through this, and it's going to really come down to you being radically honest with yourself and shedding light on the ways in which you actually have been rejecting yourself. You cannot be rejected by other people. They can have their own opinions, but when you are like so anchored in your power and who you are, you will realize that other people rejecting you or not liking you often has nothing to do with you, and it's just their own thing. And it's okay for people not to vibe with you or resonate with you, but what really is important is how you feel within yourself. And so until you heal the fear of rejection or move through the rejection wound, you will always feel like you're not good enough or like you have to mold or shape your personality to fit something that you think other people want from you. And that's, again, rejecting yourself. And so it will feel like there's this void. And so you'll want to do some self inquiry and get to the bottom of where this fear of rejection is coming from, what's going on when it shows up, and how you can transmute that energy into your power. So, the first thing I would say is to get curious. When you notice fear of rejection coming up or actually feeling rejected, ask yourself, where have I been ignoring my own needs and desires lately? Where have I been slacking on my self care or my self love? Where have I been dimming my expression or watering down what I really want to say and what I really want to share? And when you can start to be really honest with yourself with that, you can start to make the necessary shifts in your own self that will reflect outwardly a different experience, a different perspective, a different state of being. So the first step is to be really honest with yourself and to pour all of that love back into yourself. The second piece is to just accept it. Acceptance in general is going to be your friend. When you can accept that not everybody is going to vibe with you, not everybody is going to like you, not everyone is going to be your cup of tea and you're not going to be their cup of tea. When you can accept that and just let that be okay, and not make that mean something about you that's not empowering, that's when you will set yourself free. When you can just accept, oh, they can have their own opinion, their own take, and that is okay. It doesn't actually have to do with me or who I am or my worth. It may be their perception of me, or maybe I triggered something in them that they need to work through on their own or whatever. It doesn't have to do with you innately and your innate value. Because here's the thing, if you continue to perpetuate this story that people are going to reject you, or that you just have this need to be accepted, or else you're just not going to feel fulfilled or whatever, and you want that from something outside of you, as long as you do that, you are going to end up creating experiences that actually fulfill that. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So we want to get really fucking anchored in your power and your acceptance of the full spectrum of who you are. And this is a moment by moment, day by day, conscious choice that comes from your commitment to loving yourself, your commitment to showing up fully authentically, your commitment to your own personal practice, your commitment to really fueling your mind, body, and soul in the best, most optimal way that supports you. It's going to come from you, nobody else, nothing else, not the business, not the clients, not the money, not the relationship, none of that. It's all going to come from you. Healing that rejection wound, remembering that you are innately worthy, remembering that you are innately enough. And this involves expanding your consciousness, shifting into a higher perspective, because oftentimes we get stuck in the stories. We make meanings for things. Humans are meaning makers. We make meanings for everything. And oftentimes, the meanings that we make for things are not very empowering. The mind goes into all these stories from past experiences, blah, blah, blah. So you need to catch those disempowering meanings that your mind has been making about things. Like, for example, you put yourself out there and people don't engage in your stuff and you make it mean that it sucks. That's an example. That's not very empowering. And that's so far from the truth. It can be so many other things. But if you keep believing that meaning and letting that fuel this rejection wound, then you're going to keep experiencing things that reiterate that, like I said before. So be mindful of the meanings you've been making for things and assign new meanings, and know that if something doesn't empower you and if something doesn't come from love, as far as the stories that you're entertaining in the mind, then it is not your truth. That is all distortions from past programming, past conditioning, past trauma, past emotional wounds that maybe you haven't fully processed yet. And so it is your responsibility. It is your responsibility to overcome, to navigate, to heal any fear of rejection by being yourself and no longer rejecting yourself in life, in business, in relationships. It's going to pour out into every area in the most beautiful, positive ways when you choose to no longer reject yourself. So I want you to really get honest with yourself here. When you feel this come up, when you feel any inkling of this come up, ask yourself, where have I been rejecting myself? And what what do I need to give myself that will support my highest good? And commit to doing that day by day, moment by moment, and choose to embody your next level self, your most abundant, limitless self in the now through each choice you make and through the space that you choose to hold for yourself in your process. Because here's the other thing, when we're moving through processes, when we're feeling our feels and witnessing our inner child or aspects of ourselves come out that are feeling hurt or feeling rejected, it's important to not judge that either and to have compassion for ourselves and compassion for that aspect that's maybe coming out and playing out within you. So can you be the mother, the parent of your inner child? Can you be the compassionate observer of what's happening for you and hold space for yourself to move through your processes? This is going to set you free. This is going to support you in developing greater emotional intelligence. This is going to support you in showing yourself how fucking powerful you are. And in addition to doing this for yourself, of course, it is important to surround yourself with positive people, with people who lift you up, who support you, who see and celebrate all of you, and who are there for you no matter what. Having community, having support is going to just make this 10,000 times easier. So I hope this was helpful for you and gave you some things to think about and to consider when it comes to healing the fear of rejection. For me, on my own personal journey, this has been a process, and it actually was shown to me much more in relationships, but I then saw how it was playing out in my business. I noticed this in relationships because I would feel like they're rejecting me or whatever, and I would end up putting my needs on the back burner to make someone else happy, whatever. And I would think that I would be getting frustrated or annoyed with them when it was really, I was frustrated with myself because I kept rejecting myself. And it played out in my business through watering down my message, not really owning my gifts. And it was very frustrating. It felt very defeating. And I had to get really honest with myself. And when I had the realization that, oh my gosh, I'm the one rejecting myself. It was just a major light bulb and a renewed and deeper commitment for myself, to myself, on my own journey of anchoring into my power, showing up for myself, making sure that I'm not rejecting myself, and calling myself up and out if and when I do, so that I could make a different choice. And that is what I am offering and inviting for you to do for yourself, because you are here to make a massive impact in the world. You are here to be your fully expressed self. You are here to have a beautiful, fulfilling relationship, and everything that you desire, it is yours. Like, it's already done, and it's something that your soul is pulling towards you. It's like drawing it to you. And the key to allowing all of that in, the relationship, the beautiful abundance, the booming business, is you standing in your power and you overriding all of the old programming and choosing to be your empowered, sovereign self right here, right now. I love you so much. Let me know if this was helpful for you. Would love to hear it in the comments, and I will see you in the next video.